Right, good evening, guys. Happy New Year to you. Uh, this video was actually meant to be about Move with Jag, motivation for the new year, and all that good jazz and stuff. But I can't keep to my content calendar today. Um, I don't feel like I'm in the right place to motivate people, be up and perky about stuff. Um, I'm just going to talk about uh, my dad and his experience with COVID. So Christmas Day, uh, phoned my brother just to say Merry Christmas to family. We were looking forward to seeing them on Boxing Day, but obviously with the rules that came in, it was cancelled, or it looked different, should I say, Christmas. Um, my sister was wearing a mask in the house, so I said, "Everything all right?" She said, "Oh, I haven't got no taste or no smell. I've just come back from a COVID test." This is my younger sister, by the way, who's in sixth form. Um, Immediately, I started to think about mum and dad, because they're in that age group, and thinking, right, everything's gonna be fine. She's gonna isolate in her room. She'll stay away from them, you know. Then I said I would speak to them, my parents, later because they were in bed. And it got to about 4 o'clock, and I hadn't heard from my mum. And if anyone knows my mum, she's very much, jump on the phone, Merry Christmas, start praying for you, you know. And I just found it a bit weird that I hadn't heard from her. So I phoned them about 8 o'clock, and they were still in bed. And Dad hadn't been feeling well. But for the first time in my life, I kind of looked at my parents and I was like, yeah, they're getting a bit old, you know. And there was instant worry. Had they caught COVID? At that stage, didn't think they had. So came off the phone, so I'll check in with you, speak to you later. Fast forward a couple of days, the family went to go and get tested, and everyone in the household had contracted COVID, apart from my other sister. And bearing in mind, Dad still hadn't been well in general. He had been off from work for some time. I was now worried that both parents had, or my dad at that time had COVID. Mum's test came back inconclusive. So spoke to my dad on, I think it was Wednesday of this week. And while speaking to him, I could hear like he was kind of every second word having another breath, like struggling to talk. It was a bit laboured, his breathing. And I said to my brothers and sisters, "Oh, just keep an eye on that. Hopefully it's nothing." And they probably thought it was being over the top. I think most people did, but I said, keep an eye on that. Didn't get to speak to him on New Year's Eve. And plus I went to bed early, so I thought I'd catch up with them on New Year's Day, which was the Friday. Got a call from Mum, missed it. Got back in. Sharon updated me saying Dad was completely out of it on Thursday. Really tired, couldn't move, exhausted, aches and pains. Breathing was a bit laboured, and I was like, oh wow, okay. But he's feeling so much better today, which was the Friday. So I was like, okay, let me phone Mum back. Spoke to Mum. Mum gave me the same thing, that he's moved a bit today. He's been able to get up today. He's feeling a lot better. So I thought everything was more or less fine, so let's just keep an eye on it and everything. And then a couple of hours later, after speaking to my brother and reminding my brother to keep an eye on him, I get a phone call back from, I think it was my sister or brother, I can't remember now, saying, Dad's not doing too well. He's not looking great. And I was like, wow, but you just told me a couple of hours ago he's fine. Then I got another phone call back within half an hour saying, look, we've called 111. Dad is struggling to breathe now. He's having real issues breathing, and they're sending the ambulance. And I'm like, crap, right? Knowing everything that's going on, it must be serious if 111 decide to send an ambulance, because he's breathing is really bad. His chest is quite tight. So I'm like, okay. First instinct is to go down to my parents' house. They live about an hour and a half away from me, but obviously I can't go down because the whole house has got COVID, and I felt immediately right then and there useless. So I kept on phoning back, bothering my brother. It's like, is the ambulance here yet? Is the ambulance here yet? How's he doing? How's he doing? I tried to speak to him, but obviously still can't speak at this point. Then I said, okay, right, let me keep the line clear to make sure the ambulance is able to contact you. And you're just trying to reassure your family, but you're doing it from a distance. And like in African culture, the eldest is meant to take charge. And I felt really useless. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't put my arms around my brothers and sisters and say, you know what, this is going to be okay. I felt worried that I couldn't see him and how he looked, just to see. Then get another phone call back from my brother. And it's like, right, yeah, it's escalated a bit more. He's now coughing up black stuff. I'm like, crap. It's got real. It's got very real, very quickly. So I'm like, right, where's the ambulance? They phone back. They've informed the ambulance is coughing up black stuff. So ambulance comes, and his oxygen is quite low. His breath per minute isn't great. So they decided to take him to hospital. And I remember at the start of this pandemic, or maybe in the middle of this pandemic, reading something online is that everyone has a responsibility, to abide by the lockdown. Because imagine your parent or your loved one going in an ambulance and not knowing if that's the last time that you're going to see them. And that was all in my head. So he gets to hospital now, and bearing in mind at this point, there is no contact. There is no one to phone. So we're just waiting. They said give a call in 3 hours, and he should be in A&E by then. He should be 3 hours. He should be in A&E. Get hold of him or able to speak to the person who was at A&E. My sister was calling at this point and updating me. And this was a good maybe 4 hours, 3.5 hours, 4 hours. He had only been checked in. So that leads me to believe that he was in ambulance. They couldn't actually get him into the hospital. This is 4 hours ago. He's only recently been checked in to hospital. They gave him oxygen. And I think the reason why I'm getting to this and actually sharing this with you is because people are saying that hospitals are not oversubscribed. It's a scandemic. Hospitals are not busy. It's fear. Now, I never subscribed to that notion, but it gets so real for you when it is one of your loved ones. So we're phoning, trying to get information, and obviously hospitals are overrun. So you're getting limited information, inaccurate information, and in no way am I blaming the nurses and the doctors But that's just where we are. So we finally get a rough update about later in that night. He's on oxygen. Um, he seems a bit stable. That they're giving him painkillers. So okay, that's it. But still not. We still haven't been able to speak to him. On Saturday, he's able to send a few texts. So I wake up early, and I thought, you know what, let me phone the hospital about 5:30, 6 o'clock, because that's probably that they're at their least busiest, may I emphasize. Speak to a nurse, not able to give me much information. I think he's okay. Let's not use the word think, because that just puts you on, worries you. But she's able to say, right, he's on reduced oxygen now. He seems to be stable after I pushed to find out some more information. But still with that, I still wasn't happy that I, hadn't spoken to him, or hadn't been given a real kind of medical update on where and how he is properly. So I then speak to him briefly, and at this point when I speak to him, voice is fragile, doesn't sound like him at all, really struggling to talk. But I thought it was important I tried to get a quick update to see where he was and how he was doing. At this point, he's still in A&E. He hasn't been assigned a bed. So when people say hospital's not overrun, he spent the night in A&E. Spoke to him, and he said that he's doing better, and that's my dad, man, the Niger man, he'll tell you, yes, I'm doing better, I'm fine, and I'm ready to almost come home, even thinking they just put rub on it. This isn't a rub problem. So anyway, he now tells me that he's going for an x-ray. I'm like, an x-ray? They were going to give that to you last night. Why is this taking so long? I'm ready to phone back and go, right, why is my dad still waiting for an x-ray? But he actually explained it was a second x-ray, because they think he's got pneumonia now. So COVID and pneumonia. Speak to him later on in the day, and it's confirmed he has pneumonia, so he's on strong antibiotics, intravenous and oral. And I just kept on thinking, I just feel so useless. I can't go and give my mum a hug, can't give my siblings a hug. All I can do is kind of reassure them on the phone. And I think that's the bit that people don't really understand, that once someone goes into hospital with COVID, they're by themselves. I can only imagine how scary it is for them. And it was hard not knowing what's going on, because you normally go up and visit, I don't know, you just go and visit, but you're not able to do that. You're relying on the information that is being fed to you from whoever picks up the phone. And most of the time they're not able to pick up the phone because they are overrun. So they were still looking for a bed for him. And in short, I should have said this at the beginning, my dad is stable. He's doing a lot better. But essentially, why I've done this video is, COVID is no joke. It's not a fake virus. There are people dying daily. And I just think that watching the news, I wasn't really able to watch the news because I felt like a lot of it was politics, and it wasn't about the people, the numbers. And you start to worry that, is my dad going to be a number? You feel it's not even so close, it's in your home. So all I just ask is, guys, please, abide by this tier 4 lockdown, because I honestly cannot express the fear, the scare that you have. Now, hopefully, God willing, my dad is over the worst of it. He's still in hospital, and he still has a long way to go when they do hopefully eventually discharge him. But we've all just got to do our bit, and I know majority of people are doing their bit, but it's just when I see people just raving, in crowds, and not realizing that this has a massive impact on people. And yeah, that's essentially it. So just to reiterate, Dad is doing well. The blood clots have cleared from his chest. He's still got some pneumonia, and he's on antibiotics for it. But COVID is just no joke. Let's all do our part. Social distance, wear our masks, and yeah, that's what we can do. And the NHS is overrun. It's not, I'm not going to say it's a polished video, it's just me just talking about literally my experience of it being in your home and close to someone you love.